Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in on this Sunday night, rainy, dreary Sunday night. Another Exit 52 series wrap up presented by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, as always. And again, we're back to recap a series that was maybe one of the more enjoyable series that we've had in a while. Kind of nail biting, tightrope walking, but again, a series sweep of the Cincinnati Reds, who kind of are slumping, fall under 500. Good team, but the Orioles just kind of had their way with them, especially in the last game of the series. But again, they sweep them. What was the final score? 11-1 today. As the Orioles just continue to cruise, 23-11. They now have, I'm trying to find it. They now have the best run differential in baseball, or in the AL, at plus 55, which again that ballooned up. Obviously today thanks to the 10-run win. But they're playing awesome baseball, and we'll jump right into it. The story of the series is the pitching. The bullpen, starters, whatever you want to say, it's everything. The starters this series: Cole Irvin, Dean Kramer, John Means, 19 and a third innings pitch, 6 hits, 1 walk, 0 runs. So they have they're cruising right now. I said it with Brent Harris today on WBAL. I don't know what you do when Grayson Rodriguez comes back, and we're still a little ways from that, but I don't know how you look at Cole Irvin in the eye and tell him, hey, you got to go to the bullpen. I don't know how you look at Dean Kramer in the eye and say, hey, man, we got to move you. And I just don't know what they do, especially, I mean, John Means was incredible last night. I don't think any of us saw him doing that. I think it was seven shutout innings. He looked awesome, 8 Ks. He was never really a big strikeout guy, but we saw him kind of pumping that. And the changeup was really changing and working. And then again, I mean, this stat from Melanie, just to kind of fully encompass the starters: 11-3, 2.44 ERA in 20 games in the starters' last 20 games. 3 runs allowed during their last full turn through the rotation, and Corbin Burns gave up 2 of those. So I don't really know. This is kind of, you just ride the wave until something happens. But this pitching right now has been absolutely incredible. So give us kind of your breakdown on what you've seen and what you saw from the guys in Cincy.
This is what good teams do. I mean, they pitch well. They pitch up and down the bullpen. Starters are just kind of following each other, just handing the baton. Um, Gosh, even Burns, the 2 runs he gave up were the cheapest 2 runs that you can think of. Like they were a
Yeah.
joke. So it's great to see the boys just kind of like carrying the entire team here. I don't know that the bats until today were really thriving, and they haven't been. And even then, what is it, 6 out of 7 now, against some pretty solid teams. I mean, the Yankees, obviously, probably the peak competition here in the AL East. And then on the road, I mean, the Reds are not a bad baseball team.
Mhm.
They're young. They've got some good pieces that could see them um, maybe contend in the National League or at least earn a playoff spot in a wild card this year, maybe. Like that NL Central is incredibly even across the board. Um, but with that said, I mean, they're just finding different ways to win. It's not even in the sense of a team has one really strong aspect of the roster and carries them, and when it goes cold, you're kind of like, ah, shit, like what do we do? Like they are going to have these weeks, I guess, that the pitching completely carries them. And then I'm sure that there's going to be some rocky stretches for the starting pitching at some point during the year, and the bats will pick them up. And it's hard to see, and it's a testament to what the 2 years or so since Adley came up with the whole no sweep thing. Like it's really hard to string together sustained success against this Orioles team when they can beat you so many different ways. I mean, even we talked about this in our group chat a little bit today. Like, you know, I think that that Orioles era of 10 years ago when they won the division and made the playoffs a handful of times, like they had some bugaboos. Like it seemed like the
Mhm.
soft throwing lefties were one of the ways that the Orioles could get beaten. And they've got such a good deep roster here where they're able to set the table against right-handers and left-handers and make hay. It's incredible. So they're crushing lefties right now. I think there was a stat that they've faced left-handed starters maybe second most in the league. I think they've scored the most runs against left-handed pitchers of anyone in the league. It's an embarrassment of riches. It's it's kind of what we've been saying has been coming downstream here for a couple of years, and Just the fact that we're getting all of these, I don't know, maybe unheralded contributors. I mean, the Cole Irvin, it's insane, like what he's doing recently. I felt pretty strongly going into last year about what he was going to be capable of.
Mhm.
A lot of that was predicated around him pitching at Camden Yards and being able to kind of, pitch to soft contact and use that left field wall and everything. And it didn't go that way. But this is kind of, I mean, he's pitching over, I don't want to say pitching over his head, but um, it's just such an added bonus. And then Kramer, gosh, I think his season long numbers, if you look at them at face value, are like solid, good numbers. But in terms of like quality starts, I think he's just had one bad start, maybe two, and the rest have been just dominant performances where he's given up 1 run in 6 innings, 7 innings. Like he's going deep into games. He's given the bullpen opportunities to kind of ease off. And then heck, you see Suarez, man, he had the one bad start against Oakland, but he's been nails in all kinds of different roles. I mean, we've got this conundrum of starting pitching that injuries have kind of helped to alleviate some of the pressure that comes with that. But to that point, you know, trying to poke holes in the way things could go sideways for the Orioles, it's probably injuries to starting pitching. I mean, that would be a thing for any team. And the fact that we have reinforcements any given time, it's silly. It's silly. And the bullpen, of course, has pitched really well over the last week.
Yeah, I mean they've pitched their ass off, and again there's going to be changes coming to the bullpen too eventually. But you talk about Kramer again. I got his game logs up here: 5 1/3, 3 runs, 7 innings, 0 runs, 4. And this is the blemish: 4 innings, 6 runs against the 6 earned runs. Gave up 8 total, but against Milwaukee, 5 2/3, 3 runs, 5 1/3, 2 runs, and then today last time out was 7 innings, 2 runs, and then today 6 innings, 0 runs. So yeah, I mean, again, he has the one blemish. Otherwise, he's given up 3 earned runs or less. So he's been awesome. You talk about Cole Irvin, 2.86 ERA for Cole Irvin, 3-1. Like again, I think it's 20 and third, or 20 and 2/3 straight scoreless appearances or scoreless innings for Cole. And again, this is kind of what we thought we were getting out of him, like you said, using that left field wall as a weapon for him. I mean, keeping the ball in play, and that's what he's doing. I'm pitching in general has just been incredible. And like you said, it was a weird series for the bats, even going back to New York, except for that last game, bats didn't really show up. And they had the 1 run going into the 7th on Friday night. Ryan O'Hearn, like you said, unheralded guy, kind of just comes out of nowhere. Who Spenny, there may not be a bigger Ryan O'Hearn fan than Spenny right now. The guy, he loves Ryan O'Hearn, but massive 2-run home run to give them that 3-run cushion. That's what they end up winning by, and then Saturday was kind of if there was going to be one that they dropped, it was going to be this one with the bullpen. And Kimbrel came in and you could just kind of tell right away, like, this is not his night. And it wasn't. And credit to Hyde for, again, having the balls to pull your Hall of Fame closer. Going out there after he kind of was struggling and getting one out and saying, hey, I got to make the move. And he did it, credit to him, because that's not an easy decision to make at all. Kimbrel being that, he's been around, he's 35. He's been in the big leagues long enough. He knows that it's a performance-based thing. And if you're not performing, when you're a closer, everything's magnified too. So last night that was a tough one. They had to pull him. I'm glad they, I don't know with him going forward, but Cano was able to come in and not with any help from the umpires, but got the save. And then, like you said today, Albert Suarez, I kind of figured he was going to close it out by himself. They had to get Bauman in there, which is fine, but the pen is firing on all cylinders. Nice to see Santander come alive today with 3 hits and I think a walk, but the grand slam. Hopefully, we've been talking in the group chat. We need something from the veteran outfielders just to kind of get them going, and maybe today was one of them. But it was great to see the offense explode. And yeah, I mean, Adley is now in the ho-hum Nick Markakis, Brittany Giroli territory, where it's just every day you look up and he's 2 for 3 with a walk, or he's 3 for 4 with a home run or something like that. He's seeing the ball so well, and he's been hitting it well it's going on like 3 or 4 weeks now, where he's just consistently hitting the ball very well. The power's come. Again, late night Spenny text. He's been telling us that's going to happen too. And again, you're the godfather of, don't freak out about Adley from the right side from the last couple of years. And I mean, that may be the biggest victory lap that you could ever take right now. But again, it's nice to see with I don't want to say Gunner's cold. He just hasn't hit a home run since like Monday. But it's not. And again, I guess maybe for Gunner that is cold. Like, oh no, he's gone 4 games without a home run. But again, they're doing just enough to win and a much deserved day off tomorrow. And again, I don't even really consider these games in DC a road game. But it's massive getting Bradish and Burns back on the bump for those two. And then you come home. I think it's a lengthy homestand too. It's Arizona, Toronto. Yeah. And it's 3 against Arizona, 3 against Toronto, 3 against Seattle. Those are some teams you can do damage against. And again, they're game of Yankees right now who are kind of staying afloat and they're doing their thing, but the Orioles have a really good opportunity right here, followed by 3 at Seattle or St. Louis, and then 4 against the White Sox. That's a very favorable schedule. And we said early April, and it turned out not to be. But I think the way the team is rolling right now, like you have to forget about that going into this stretch of games here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to go see Burns and Bradish pitch down there too. And I just like look at the probable pitchers and like, man, like you see the Orioles come to town and it's like, where's the night where we're supposed to have a good night at the plate against these guys? It's got to be terrifying. And same thing goes for if you're a starting pitcher for an opposing team. You see this lineup come to town, and gosh, even the games when God, the term is so overused, but punt lineup shows up and it's it's Mateo hitting against lefties. It's it's crazy how well these guys are continuing to hit, and Adley especially has been really forcing the issue in terms of like, hey. We saw it early last year, I think, where he barely got a day off, and I don't know if he kind of got worn down the stretch a little bit, but he's hitting too well to even give him a day off. We're using that DH position to good use. He's 11th in the entire league in batting average. I don't think that guys think of him as like this gigantic high average guy, and he's probably swapped a little bit of his on base. He's not drawing walks at the same rate that he usually does, but hits are effective too. I mean, it's hard to knock runs in unless the bases are loaded there, obviously, with walks, but he's doing damage in a big way. I mean, that double he hit today where he was just cheated on a fastball, saw like just the sitting fastball, it was inside, and he just turned on it. Like that's a really tough pitch to turn on and keep fair, and he just was all over it. Ball was tattooed. So he's just rolling from both sides of the play. It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we didn't really we kind of thought that he would show more power, and the power. I think he has 3 home runs his last week plus, but it's starting to slowly come. But like you said, that double that just really shows you like what a good hitter he is, and that he's not just a like I'm just gonna go up and kind of wait for like he knows what he's looking for, and he knows if I get one of these pitches, I'm absolutely pouncing on it, and there's really nothing you can do. And he's very dangerous at the plate because, like you said, if it's a centimeter off the plate, he's not swinging, he's taking that walk. So he's locked in right now like we've never seen. I don't think we've really seen a stretch from him like this. And again, it's like, man, if he gets going, if Gunner gets going and with him at the same time, plus Mountcastle, who has just been consistently awesome all year, like they may already be one of the a top 2, 1 and 2 right now with Gunner and Adley. And then again, you factor in an O'Hearn or a Mountcastle or a Santander when they're going, and it's very scary. But I also feel like we've kind of gone too far, not giving John Means the props that like he really deserves. And again, on today, which I didn't even realize was the anniversary of his no-hitter. If you can get John Means going in the first week of May, you have to throw him out there. I mean, the stuff last night was arguably, I mean, the game last year in Cleveland where I think he took like a no-hitter into the 7th or 8th. That was awesome. This may have just been one of his best pure stuff games since that no-hitter. It was 3 years ago today, I guess 3 or 4 years ago today, but or 3 years. I don't know. What was your real takeaway on Means in his start last night? I'll be honest, I didn't get the chance to see that game.
but by all means, he's just out there doing what he does. Which I mean, he was the guy, carrying the entire rotation for a couple of years there, and I think we've
Mhm.
looked at him as some sort of bonus to the riches that we already have, and just the fact that he's out there. I don't even. It's obviously great to see him pitch well, but he's pitching deep into games. I mean, that says a lot about where he's at in terms of his kind of trajectory and his health. And again, if we can get those kind of nights, I mean, I think everybody knows that the bullpen is kind of the thing for this team that has people on high alert. And if the starters are not just pitching well, but they're pitching into the seventh and eighth inning, like you mitigate that so much. Now, of course, we're going to get to a point here, maybe in the postseason where you know you don't generally see guys go through the lineup a third and fourth time, and the starters get shorter. But also look at the idea, like we've got 6 or 7 bona fide starters, and so a couple of them are going to end up in the bullpen. Probably Dean Kramer is probably a guy that falls in that bucket. I'm sure Cole Irvin has some things to bring to the table in terms of him being a dangerous lefty in those types of spots too. But it's nice to know that like we're gonna have that bridge to cross at some point, and we should have a lot of options.
Yeah, and again, we're not even talking about Dylan Tate. We'll come back. Cade Povich. There's guys that are going to come up. Chase McDermott just threw. He had a no hitter, part of one for Norfolk. Like there's plenty of other arms that we're going to see come up. And again, embarrassment of riches. We've beaten that phrase into the ground the last couple of years, but it truly is. And again, you talk about Means going deep. I mean, I would have never thought like we're gonna get 7 out of him. And again, he only threw 85 pitches in 7 innings. He could have gone another inning or two if they really needed him to. I mean, I was fine with them taking him out. Same thing with Cole Irvin the other night, and it ended up working out. But again, I mean, he was just so efficient with his pitches, and again, his changeup was just disgusting that night. He made Ellie look like a fool a couple times, and we never saw Means was never a big strikeout guy. He was never striking out 11, 10, 12. He just was always getting it done. But I mean, 8 Ks out of him in his debut. That was fantastic. But we'll kind of talk about the other. We talked about the bullpen, but Kimbrel, what do you do with him going forward? Again, Friday night he looked maybe as good as he's looked since like we saw him with like the prime Red Sox, just cutting down the Orioles and them in his prime. But I don't know how you can throw him back out there in a closing role if you're Brandon Hyde. I mean, it's clear that he can't go back-to-back days now. I just don't. I think you got to move him to a 7th or 8th inning, 6th inning guy if you need that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on Kimbrel and how do you take it from here?
I kind of disagree with you there. I think you can continue to keep him in the role, but know that Cano is also a guy that you can lean on and contextually play matchups in that ninth inning and decide who you want to give the ball in given situations. And just try to keep in mind that that back to back for Kimbrel is maybe not what you want to do. Obviously, that's not ideal. And when you think about closers, you want to think that it's a guy that you can trust giving the ball to every time and need him to go get 3 outs. And it's okay for that not to be the case. I mean, it's not 2005 anymore where that's the mentality. Like a lot more teams are kind of taking that bullpen by committee. And it seems to be something that I think a lot more people are open-minded about across like sports in general, like hockey goalies. It's no longer like, oh, this guy's going to start 65 games and the other one's going to start 17. Like you're just seeing a lot more of that open-mindedness, and maybe that's a rest kind of thing. I don't know, but it's obviously something to monitor. And of course, if we could probably get another guy or two in the mix that you can trust in those situations, just to kind of hedge our bets even further, then great. I think that would be an awesome thing to do. But yeah, it's like I said before, it's obviously the area where you might look back, and if things go sideways, that's kind of a good chance that's where that problem comes up.
Yeah, and I'm with you because again, it's same thing with running backs. Like you don't have the bell cow running backs anymore. We're kind of going away from the bell cow closers and stuff like that. But I don't know, just the way he looked and But again, he knows he's been around long enough where he knows if he's not getting the job done, then it's not his role. But again, Tate coming back and some of these other guys coming back, once Grayson is back, somebody eventually moves to the bullpen. I think it softens the blow on them, especially that back end. But I do still think that if, again, we're seeing trades start to happen now. What's his name goes to the Padres and goes 4 for 4 immediately. But I think if there's one spot that Elias has circled, I would think that it has to be bullpen, just because you really don't have any other space for any new guys to come in. Again, we can do the big cat, like, their biggest trade guy, maybe, on offense, maybe Kobe Mayo or Jackson Holiday, when they come back up in a couple weeks, whenever. But it's going to be interesting. And again, I do think they'll be able to, I guess, get through the rough waves, with the bullpen. Because Cano, I mean, when he's on, we saw it last year. He's about as good as it can get. I do think we were spoiled too with Felix and how lights out he was tonight. You knew once your closer was in, like, okay, the game's over. Like, this is done, unless it was Kyle Tucker or Judge in New York. But more time not was over once they come in. But yeah, that was a tough one for Kimbrel. But again, it's you're moving on to the next one, and now they face the Nationals coming up. The Nationals are kind of like the A's. They're better than a lot of people thought. They're 17-17 right now. Again, I don't think anyone thought it would be close to this. I wouldn't say they're playing well by any means, but they're surprising people. They're kind of reminding people of the Orioles from a couple of years ago. But again, Corbin on Tuesday is a nice way to kind of put that cigarette out and kind of smash their dreams real quick. And then Bradish after that. But it should be a series. Again, I'm hoping just to kind of 2-game series, get in, get out, get your wins, come on home for 2 weeks or a week and a half. And then again, we'll hopefully stack some wins there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer, and maybe it's a little hot takey too, but it sucks that they have 2 off days here, Monday and Thursday this week, because they're just rolling so much and you just want to keep the momentum going. But you trust that those guys are going to go out and give you their best on the mound. And man, it's again, I keep saying it's just a great time to be an Orioles fan.
You going to the games, you said?
I'm going to go Wednesday, I think.
6:45 is tough. It's again, you got to get down there early, because getting to that stadium blows. Train, driving, it's bad any single way. But I don't know. I may try and make that happen. But I don't know who the Yankees are playing, because again, now, I mean, it's fun because again, it's May. It's the first week of May. It's Cinco de Mayo, and we're counting. We're already kind of looking at schedules and all that. Yankees play the Astros, so they've been very bad this year, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, Houston can come alive and get some of those wins. But I don't know. Again, we kind of covered it all. I'm just looking across. Santander with a massive game today. That was fun for him. Good for Ramon too. Double hit by pitch, 3 runs. So that's always good. And again, now if you can get Cedric going, that would be awesome. Colton kind of coming back to life with his double today. I like seeing Hyde kind of force him back into the lineup, even against a lefty like Lodolo, who's very, very tough. I do like seeing that. But again, if these bats can just stay consistent, one guy is going to kind of elevate the rest of them. And then again, they'll kind of just fill in the cracks throughout the rest of the lineup. I think they're in a good spot. And again, I do feel like we have to give him some credit too. Well, 2 guys. I mean, Jorge Mateo was shit on by pretty much all of Orioles, every Orioles fan in Twitter last year, down the stretch especially. And he had the big home run yesterday, a nice one. And then that play, I don't know. So you didn't see the play that he made backing up Westberg's bad throw last night to gun out India. That was a great play by him, just a heads up play. Westberg kind of short hopped the play. It was behind the bag, tough one. And it skipped by Mountie, and Mateo, just doing his job and playing his role, backed up Mountie. And India may have taken the widest turn around first base I've ever seen. He was basically on the grass up at the top of the outfield, rounding into second. And Mateo kind of just picked it up and flicked it over to second to get him. I think that was in like the 7th or 8th. It was a big out there. And then Ryan McKenna, who now has the same amount of home runs this year as he had all last year. So I don't know what he was doing on defense. I was driving when that happened. I know he dropped the ball or dropped in front of him or something. But again, it just kind of seems like, regardless of what Orioles Twitter says, whatever Brandon Hyde does, it seems like it's working right now. He goes in the lineup, hits a home run, and is just producing. So shout out to both those guys. Those are two of the more unheralded guys, and they kind of just seem to show up and do their job. I forget who it was. I think we talked about it during the Yankees wrap up, but anyone who seems to be like on the edge with their job, like, DFA coming soon, something like that, they kind of just seem to rise up and really just perform well. So it just seems like these guys bust their ass for Hyde and they play hard seemingly all the time. So it's you love seeing that.
Yeah, I guess if there's one thing to nitpick about today is we got picked off at least twice, maybe three times. Was there a third time? I was in the kitchen, kind of like seeing down the house, and it looked like we got picked off a third time. Am I right on that?
I only saw the Cowser get picked off when he tried to when he threw back the first. I missed the rest of it.
Santander loafed kind of back into the base and got, they reviewed it, but he was out standing up on a pickoff. It's nice though. I guess this is kind of where I was going with that. It's nice to, like, there's a handful of times when you just batch together a bunch of boneheaded shit during the course of a season, and it's nice to do that in a game where you can kind of learn a lesson about it, but just still blow a team out by 10. So
absolutely. Again, if you're going to get him out of the way, get him out of the way in a game that ends 11-1. That has you guys completing the sweep. So and again, I think Kevin said today on the broadcast going into the game they'd only been picked off 4 times or caught stealing, picked off 4 times. So they run a lot too. So it's they seem to be doing well in the base paths, but keeping Ellie in check was big. And again, just the starters. I mean, starting pitching is contagious, and it's so much fun to watch these guys rolling. And again, I mean, it's hard not to feel good for guys like John Means and Cole Irvin and Dean Kramer, who have all kind of had these up and down kind of careers. So for them to all do that, back to back to back in the series was massive. And this is we'll end it. We'll kind of get out on this stat by Ken McCusick. The Orioles have now allowed 2 or fewer runs in 7 consecutive games for only the 10th time in team history. The last time it occurred in the same season was 1980. It also happened in 96 with the carryover to 97. So again, I mean, if your starting pitching is limiting these guys to 2 runs or less, chances are one of these big hairy guys on the Orioles is going to run into one and they'll be fine. But it was funny hearing, I guess it was Friday night when they got the 1 run and Kevin goes, well, that should be more than enough run support for Cole Irving. And it's just like, holy shit. And then you're like, also like, you know what? That's right. That's right. Because this guy's just not giving up runs. So again, they're clicking on all cylinders right now. I really don't know what else to say. 23-11. And again, the big one for me, they had the best run differential in AL and second biggest in the majors behind the Dodgers at +63. So they're cruising right now. 14-5 against teams over 500 as well, which is the best number in baseball too. So they're playing good. They're playing good teams and they're beating them. You can't really ask for much more there.
There you have it.
Yeah. So again, we'll get everyone else out of here on that. Again, 2 versus the Nats. The 2 days off in 1 week is weird. Again, especially with it being in DC. They're not in LA or they're not in Oakland or Seattle or something. Like they're home. They're literally home. So good for them. Again, 2 well-deserved days off. But again, we will be back, I guess, Wednesday night. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a what do we call it? A ramp walk with Banks leaving DC. When was the last time you went? The last time you went wasn't the World Series, right? To DC?
To Nats Park?
Yeah.
Maybe. I probably went at some point for an O's Nats game.
Yeah. I went last year. Again, the Bullpen, they've built up. There's a ton of new restaurants and like apartment buildings and everything out there. So they're kind of trying to do good stuff down there, but it's not. It's no Camden Yards. Like we found one good bar and we're like, oh, this is great. Thank God. But yeah, it's it'll be hopefully again a good series win there, and we'll get back with you Wednesday. So again, on behalf of Banks and LA Jake and Six Spenny and Taylor, who's bebopping around wherever. We appreciate you all. Make sure you subscribe, like, thumbs up, comment, tweet, follow, all that good stuff. And again, we will be back with you Wednesday night, hopefully following an Orioles series win. We appreciate you all. Now I got to try and find this damn button. There we go. Thank you all. Love you.